Hello and welcome to The Studio Demands It, an exercise in creative thinking where we will conceptualize, pitch, and craft a film or series based on the demands or stipulations from one of you listeners acting as a hypothetical Hollywood overlord. As professional screenwriters ourselves and massive cinephiles, we talk movies all the time. And we'd like to believe that we could meet any demand thrown at us. We will be your screenwriters for this episode. I am TC DeWitt, and joining me, as always, is Jim, surprise, Brzelik. Hey, Jim.
Hello.
What is your stance on surprises? Because I know some people who don't like surprises. They just, like, what'd you get me for Christmas? Just tell me. I'm going to look around the house for it anyway. Do you have something planned for my birthday? Just tell me what it is. Don't you dare throw me a surprise party. What is your stance on surprises?
It's subjective. I like most of those surprises that you just named.
Yeah.
I like those surprises. Those kind of surprises are fun.
Yeah.
I have anecdotes about when I was younger and I spoiled Christmas for myself.
Oh.
I was very upset about it, and I have never done it since. Actually, I think I technically did it twice.
I'm gonna. You know what? I spoiled it that first time. I was pretty upset about it. You know what? Let's try it again. Maybe I'm okay with it being spoiled. Oh. Yeah.
So in general, I like things like that, like unknown gifts. Great, those are great surprises.
Yeah.
We have a friend or two that are very big on pranks. Those are types of surprises.
I don't like the pranks.
Less a fan of pranks.
I like hearing the story of pranks. I don't particularly care to be pranked.
Yes.
In fact, I don't like it. I like a good surprise when it's like a good natured, good surprise. God, I bought a shitty car once.
Yeah.
Like, it couldn't go in reverse. You couldn't lock the doors. It didn't have headlights. I bought it for $50. Lasted me 4 months. It shouldn't have, and I did, right? And I drove it to work after I bought it off my friend. And then I told my two buddies about it. I parked in the back parking lot at the theater. And then I was like, hey, guys, come check out this piece of shit I bought. And I went out there, and it was gone.
Oh,
and
no.
I was like, oh, I didn't get the plates registered. And I was just, like, heartbroken. And then the two of them were like, oh, man, you're ruining it. We just moved it over there. Because you can lock it, like, whatever. So I was like, oh, no, good. Yeah, good one, guys. You got me. And it was like,
you are right. That is a good story.
But I like surprising people with stuff like gifts and like taking people somewhere without telling. It's gonna be cool.
I've learned as I've gotten older that some of those types of surprises they need to be truncated. They need to be localized, and people need to know about parts of them.
Right.
You can't just abscond with someone and drive for 4 hours.
Says you.
You need to let them know. Hey, I got a plan for this weekend, so
Pack a bag.
Block that out for me.
God.
You can't just show up Friday and be like, we're going to Vegas. Actually, that would be a part of the surprise. You could do that. You can't be like, get in the car, we're going somewhere, and then okay, and then it's 2 a.m. and they're like, I have work in 6 hours.
No, you don't.
Yeah, right. Like, it's a less fun surprise.
Yeah. But I know people who
do that.
Well, no, who like to spoil things. Who like
sure.
They want Christmas spoiled. They don't want to know surprises, and then they like.
So do I. Yeah.
They like They kind of get a thrill out of
spoiling things for other people.
For people, like, those aren't friends. They're people I know who
Sure.
just like kind of gleefully, and that's like half the internet. Nothing like I get offended when people spoil movie stuff. The only thing that irks me more is when people think I'm gonna spoil a movie thing. If I start talking about something and they're like, the cat food dispenser is spoiling the moment.
Yeah.
Where I'll start talking about something like, oh, there's a show I know you like.
Yeah.
Great episode. Don't say anything. I'm like, I'm not gonna spoil anything. I'm not that dickhead.
You may not be, but enough people
Are, yeah.
not meaning to
Yeah.
are just. A lot of times people will just talk about something excitedly, or think they're not going to say a spoiler when really they don't realize that what they're saying is a spoiler.
Yeah.
So some people are like, how about just nothing? How about
Just
don't
say
zero
anything.
words to
Stop
me about
talking.
it?
Yeah. Back when 24 was on the air, like 4th or 5th season or something, my friends and I watched it independently, and then we would talk about it. And I went into the office, and one of the guys was like, hey, did you watch the new episode? I'm like, nah, I'm watching it tonight. Don't say anything. He's like, all right, I'm not going to say anything, but I'll just say this. Chloe with a machine gun. like, dude,
why would you say that?
Why did that's saying a lot?
Yeah.
I didn't say anything. Like, God damn it.
Yeah.
You bonehead.
My friend, after Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness came out, he said something like, no spoilers or anything, but Jim Halpert's the smartest man in the universe.
God damn.
Like, how is that not?
How is that not a spoiler? I'm just saying. I love The Office, and John Krasinski's in the movie as Mr. Fantastic. No spoiler. Well, Jim.
So the reason my middle name is Surprise today, is because we were the entire impetus for this, the normal genesis of the show happened, right? We were watching Star Wars, and then that ended, and we were sitting. You were doing something on your computer as you usually do, and an ad came up, and we started having a conversation about the ad, and that is what kind of led into I was about to basically throw out a demand. I realized I'm like, because we weren't going to do one tonight. Normally would. We're like, let's just watch some TV.
Yeah.
But then a demand came to my mind, and I'm like,
Surprise.
I think TC's going to really want to talk about this.
Okay.
So, and this is more than I think this is more than just a little conversation.
Okay.
So,
we'll hold that thought. So, just for those of you who might be listening for the first time, listeners give us demands from their fake studios literally all over the world. And you listening, you can send us a demand if you'd like, and we will meet it right here on the spot. And when we reach the end of the episode, if we've done our jobs, we will have pitched a full script and story, meeting or even exceeding those demands. And when the end of the season comes, your demand could have helped us craft the script that will be greenlit by the fans for the finale. So thanks for the demands. I keep them coming, seriously. But yeah, Jim is surprising me with this right now. So I don't know. Normally, I at least
there might even be other people who might have sent in demands for this.
And now, typically, what we've been doing this season is we know the subject of the demand, because we're trying to tie it into stuff as they release, just help with the SOE.
This one is not.
This one's not. That's fine. And you said it kind of touches on like the impetus of this entire show, which was we were watching.
We were just hanging out talking.
As fans may know, we were watching Star Trek Into Darkness, and it was like, well, what would you do? And then that was the birth of the show. So, Jim, you've surprised me with this. So,
I'll stop burying leads. I'm going to bury it a little longer.
Keep preambling.
So we were watching a Star Wars show. And afterwards, an ad suggesting that you may also like Once Upon a Time came up. The TV show from ABC. And I don't think we've talked about it on the podcast at all. But if you know TC at all,
that's me.
He loves a comic book called Fables.
Love it. Top 3 of all time books for me. I love it.
And he talks about it a lot. And he one of the things he'll tell you about when getting into TV shows and stuff is that Once Upon a Time was originally pitched as Fables. Bill Willingham, the author of Fables, went in, had meetings with Disney, or they're talking, or ABC, and they're talking about it and stuff. And ultimately, it fell through. I think I don't know if it's cynical or truthful, but from what I understand, it basically the reason it fell through was money and rights and stuff like that. And then Disney's like, well, we have all of these things. We have all of these fables. We have Snow White. We have Beauty and the Beast. We have all these things. Why don't we just do our own version of it?
They're public domain anyway. Yeah.
And so that's what they did. They said, no, thank you, Bill Willingham. We're going to do our own thing. And they did. And that was the show Once Upon a Time.
156 episodes, 7 seasons with a spin-off series of Once Upon a Time in Wonderland. That's a full... I had no idea... I avoided the show so much, I didn't process that it was on for 7 seasons.
Yeah.
That's insane. That's a successful run.
It is. And so being a fan of Fables, looking at that and thinking about it, as we get further away from when Once Upon a Time was on the air, the likelier Warner Brothers is essentially the owner of Fables.
Because it's a Vertigo comic, DC comic to Warner Brothers. Yeah.
The more they'd be willing and want to do something with it as well. The idea of a TV show, it will forever be compared to Once Upon a Time and what Disney owns and has. So the thought occurred to me, Warner Brothers would want to do a movie. Ideally, making an entire series of films but they need to start somewhere. They need to start with one. And so the demand is Warner Brothers comes to UTC
Oh, God.
and says, we want a Fables movie.
Uh-huh.
We just want one right now, but we want, please, so build this world in one movie. Tell a story that is good and succinct. Ideally, will make people want more of them.
Mm-hmm.
And the world is there for you to tell this story. More than likely, we could make more almost no matter what you do with it, unless you wrap it all up. Don't do that.
Don't do that.
Go. What would you? How would you do one movie?
Okay, so adapt Fables the comic, which went for 150 issues, plus spin-off of Jack of Fables, a couple of additional anthologies in Fairest, 1001 Nights of Snowfall, but mainline story.
And there are going to be people who are going to ask if the video game, the Telltale game, will be referenced at all. Is
canonized, yeah. This is tough, but now for the art of adaptation for a film specifically, the goal would be, how do you present a film that's not just the first little bit of this series? It can't just be the initial Rose Red is dead murder mystery. That's not enough.
My initial thought is you would have to go through. I haven't read it all, but I've read a decent intro portion.
I think I know where I would go with it, but let me. What do you think?
It would go through that first attack, the incursion
on Bullfinch Street
of the wooden soldiers.
Yes. So that would be volume 5. Volume 4, March of the Wooden Soldiers. And yes, I think that's the climax of the movie. But I'd read this. Okay. I would open with a truncated cold open of the end of the Rose Red mystery. Like launch us, get us right into it right away with back up. Prologue it with the Last Castle. Show us the opening of this movie is the Battle of the Last Castle in the Fabled Lands, the last gateway. So I guess to try to give a little bit of explanation for those listening to this. First off, I love this series. Read it; it's incredible.
This episode we're going to spoil at least these first 5 volumes.
Yeah, that's why I was going there. I was like, please read this book if you haven't. Even if we spoil it here, it's well worth going and checking this series out.
There's so much more beyond what we're going to talk about.
Yeah, it starts with a simple whodunit, and it grows and grows and grows to Lord of the Rings level of complexity and battles and swords, and it's amazing. But there's a prologue. A prequel story that is in the Fable Lands. There's a Lord Sauron who's wiping out all the fairy tale worlds one at a time,
known as the Adversary.
The Adversary, and he is just run amok in all these fantasy worlds that we know from all of our fairy tales growing up. Your Snow Whites and Seven Dwarfs, your Big Bad Wolf, your Little Boy Blue, Jack Horner, Jack and the Beanstalk, Sleeping Beauty. You name it. Any of those traditional fairy tales from Hans Christian Andersen, the Brothers Grimm, those characters all exist in their own worlds out there in the multiverse. And this adversary is just taking over and killing anyone who gets in his way, taking over the lands. And so the Fables find gateways between their worlds. And then the last gateway, the last place they're able to find where they can hide, is our world. The Mundy world, the mundane world where the adversary will not go. So they escape to us, and they have been in New Amsterdam to New York City for centuries.
They've been on Earth
for centuries. These characters are immortal. We come to learn their immortality is based on our belief in them. So the way to open this up is the prologue, the prequel of The Last Castle, the final battle of the last gateway that they are going to fight till they can get the last remaining persons through, and then shut the gate, and then the adversary can never get to Earth. And in that, Boy Blue is your main character. He meets Little Red Riding Hood, who comes in at the last, being attacked by goblins. There's some great, really obscure heroes within this, with knights. Robin Hood is there and his merry men. There's some great something that this series is great for. It's going to educate you on original versions of fairy tales. So yeah, just open with this big Lord of the Rings prologue battle.
It would feel honestly just like Attack on Helm's Deep.
Yes, yeah. You're opening this movie with Helm's Deep,
and then except Gandalf doesn't come to the rescue.
There's no rescue in this. Boy Blue gets through at the end, and then hard cut. Your prologue is done, and then open up on New York City, modern day, a party. There's.
It's. I see where you're going. If I may,
sure,
please,
yeah.
It would jump to our main cast here:
yes.
Snow, Prince Charming, Bluebeard, King Cole, and all of these people are the people we met in this previous scene. Like as much as as much as that intro is going to put forward Boy Blue and Red Riding Hood,
we will rewrite that intro to introduce all these characters.
Yeah, because we'll see them getting on the boats because they take boats.
And yes, to cross through realities. There's also Mr. Big B Wolf, the sheriff of Fabletown, who is the big bad wolf of legend. He is able to appear as human because he's essentially a demigod. He is a god. He is.
And also notably, he's the one character who doesn't appear in that intro.
Right. I like that. Yeah. Because he's recruited later. That's neither here nor there for this. But flashing forward to modern day and the mundanity of these immortals now.
Oh, one more change.
Yeah.
After they we in the final moments of that, right, where Boy Blue is the last one at the castle, and then the boats are going through down the river through the canyon. We see them get through whatever portal, and we see we would see them the boats rushing out, and they land on the shore of somewhere, and that as everyone's like, oh, right, people are recovering and stuff and getting out of boats, and where are we, stuff like that. I feel like the camera would pull back, and we would get not a chyron, just a graphic that would say France, Normandy, 1653.
Yeah, something
right,
like that.
Or however long ago it would be set. Fade to black, fade up, New York, 2024.
Present day.
Present day.
One little thing within that opening, while we meet all these characters in action, we get their personality types as they were. We will see that reflected in the future, minus Bigby. One key factor is when Little Red Riding Hood shows up, Boy Blue is completely enamored with her, and they have this sudden romance.
Oh yeah, I think we would get a whirlwind fast forward of through that. I mean, it was very fast anyway in that story arc.
And in the midst of the escape, they draw a lottery to see who's going to get on the boat because there's not enough room for everyone. And Blue gives up his spot for Red, and Red doesn't get on the boat waiting for Blue. What she didn't know is that Blue had the witching cloak, this magical cloak that would allow him to teleport. So when he gets on the boat, she's not there.
She's there,
and she is left behind to die. And so it's this tragic romance in the midst of the action, in the midst of the introduction of our main characters, and then land in France, and then New York, present day.
Yeah.
And we get a glimpse of all these characters preparing for the celebration day, the annual celebration of the Last Castle and Fabletown and everything. So we get all the exposition there. They've been there for centuries. They made it to New York.
They all look the same, just cleaned up and modern.
King Cole is the mayor of Fabletown, but Snow White's really running the place. We get to see Beauty and the Beast dealing with their marital issues because her love in him prevents him from being a beast. And if he becomes a beast, we're kicking you to the farm. I don't think the farm will be in this. I think we'll just allude to it. Maybe.
Okay.
I could be wrong, but
you're isn't
it's tough. So the farm is such a big story arc. The farm, for those who need to know, is where all the non-human fables have to live in upstate New York. If they can't pass as human, they can't be in our world.
So the Three Pigs.
Yes.
The giants
dragons
of stories, dragons.
The Lilliputans from Gulliver's Travels. Any talking animal.
All the Mr. Toad's neighborhood.
Yeah. They have to be up on the
Mother
farm.
Goose. Yeah.
Yeah. So seeing Beast getting the hint to the farm, I could see the farm maybe getting roped into this, perhaps.
Well, so in the comic, isn't it necessary because that's how they ultimately overcome the final attack of the wooden soldiers is with the farm tech. The farm has been amassing and converting guns.
Yeah. They do utilize some of that.
And I understand storytelling shortcutting that out, and just our Fables can have stockpiles in their buildings and stuff. That it seems like such a shame.
I'm not saying we should for sure cut it right now because we're still in the first like opening of the movie. I could see an argument for getting them roped in because of how this, you know what? Because of how my opener is going to end, how what I'm suggesting.
Okay.
We will see the farm.
Okay.
And the reason that I'm saying this is we have the celebration day, we get to meet all these characters, re-meet them, and then finally we get to meet one of the most important characters, which is Bigby, the sheriff. And he's in the midst of a final investigation because Rose is dead, and he's been solving the murder of Rose Red, and Snow's dealing with bureaucracy, but she's also like, what happened to my sister? And he's like, everything's going to be fine. I'm basically like zipping everything from that first storyline into like 10 minutes.
I imagine not only did we zip through meeting all of these characters in their original Fable land, but then I feel like we reintroduce them here in New York, and I'm seeing not maybe a oneer or a fake oneer or something like that. We're following Boy Blue as he's
totally.
Like, it starts with like, hey, Miss White, and it's Snow White, and she gives some like Cole is sitting over there, and he like somehow like waves away having to give direction or whatever, like you know what you're doing, Snow. And Snow turns to Boy Blue, says, go tell this person and this person and this person, and make sure Bigby comes up and sees me. And we don't know who Bigby is yet, and then we follow Boy Blue around the office as he says all the things.
See Buffkin, the flying monkey. We see the Grimble at the front desk. We see Beauty and the Beast like arguing, and Bluebeard, as well as getting information about the celebration day that's coming up, getting to Bigby, and then walking him back. I love the idea of a oneer to get through the whole tower because we would get to go through doors, like impossible doors, where it's like, oh, this just looks like a freaking like an apartment complex, but we're walking through doors that lead us to castles, and then moving into like forest areas and getting to see the magic of the place while getting Boy Blue. I love that, like walking Boy Blue through everything and getting Bigby to Snow. And then being like, hey, I'm investigating your sister's like murder and Jackson lockup because he's always my first suspect. And
okay, so I'm thinking about framing that like sort of jumping, because you're right, that is a really fun mystery and a fun way to meet this world. But we are jumping past that by doing it through Boy Blue's perspective. I don't know what else to frame it in. Basically, because I was going to say, because a few important things come out of that, and I don't know where we want to jump with that, and if maybe saving the murder of Red Rose for essentially excising it from this movie and potentially having it happen in another one. But that does keep people alive who wouldn't be normally.
Right. I'm going to actually stop trying to truncate it too much, and let's give it 30 minutes. This movie's going to be...
Oh, gosh. Okay, we're going to be 40 minutes into this.
Yeah.
Then
30 minutes for this, and then at the end of this story, when Rose gets... Okay, so...
Yeah.
Spoiler.
Yep.
Rose Red faked her death with Jack's help. To get out of a wedding engagement.
Jack of Fables. Jack and the Beanstalk Jack.
Be nimble.
Jack Be Nimble.
Thumb in the pie.
Was that the same?
Well, Jack Horner.
Jack Horner was a different character.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I remember that he's one of the characters who die in a skirmish.
Okay.
And I was like, oh, there's another Jack. I thought Jack of Fables was all the Jacks.
But whatever the case,
he was Jack Horner, and I'm thinking, whatever. He's most of the Jacks.
But ultimately, they faked her death. Bigby solved it immediately. So I'm willing to stretch this out for 30 minutes. And the first 30 minutes is reintroducing us to this world. We see the fantastical nature of it within our mundane world, going through
and the immortality of these characters.
Yeah, and getting to the celebration day and parlor room reveal that Bigby gives, the very Benoit Blanc reveal of like, this is what happened, this is this, Rose is alive, and this is why. But in the end, because of all this, two things happen that can echo through this.
Mm-hmm.
One, Rose is punished to go to the farm for her misdeeds. So now we've already hinted at the farm, but sending her there for Act 2 of the movie, the second half of the film, or the second third of the film, so we can keep that story of the farmlands or the farm. The second thing that happens is because of this whole thing, Bluebeard, the mishandling of this, there's politicking happening here. We can position Bluebeard and Prince Charming to run against Cole to replace him as mayor.
Would there be any way
Yes.
to run some of these stories, ideally all three, but if not all three, at least two of them parallel? Could the rebellion at the farm happen at the same time as Rose's murder and investigation?
I would be willing to evoke the farm and see hints of it, that we see like the rebellion brewing, so that by the time Snow and Rose show up, it's like when Rainyard the fox is like, babe, you need to get out of here. This place is not going good, man. We got a whole freaking animal farm thing happening here. Here's what what I'm suggesting is that like the first third is we see the prologue and the murder mystery of Rose Red that shows how fractured this is after centuries.
Okay.
These characters don't get along. There's politicking happening here. Who are the good guys? Who are the bad guys? Is Bluebeard really the villain? Is Prince Charming a villain? Is Snow's really like is she competent? Bigby's kind of an asshole, but he's a good guy ultimately.
Okay.
These are broad strokes, but the second half being as soon as Rose goes to the farm, the parallel story to that is the introduction of the brothers.
Okay. I would have worded it as the return of Red. The return of Red Riding Hood.
Yes, that is what I'm getting to.
Yeah.
Because we have Rose going to the farm and dealing with the consequences of her shenanigans. Jack is put to task, like he's given community service.
Yeah.
The Men in Black start showing up, and the suits, and the sudden reveal of like, she's off, Snow's off. Okay, this is all settled. Everything can go back to normal. And we see Rose show up. Red Riding Hood
show up.
Shocking blue, like, oh my God. And so that the second half of this is the rebellion at the farm and the unraveling of the return of Red Riding Hood.
Okay. Knowing what I know
Yeah.
about these characters and staying true to them, where is Bigby during this Act 2 or during the second story? Because in the comics, he had already left Fabletown because he knows Red Riding Hood personally, and I don't know why I feel like I don't want to spoil
it's
things,
so good, people. Read it. Stop listening to our voices and go read this series.
So he would have sniffed her out immediately because ultimately it turns out that's not Red Riding Hood. Dun, dun, dun.
But she got rid of him beforehand because Jack mixed it up with these guys, and there's hints of him, the gate that's open up north. So Bigby goes to investigate the gate before Red Riding Hood gets there. Because she gets through the gate.
How did they get word that gate was open?
There's, oh my gosh, sorry, testing my knowledge here, or my memory here. The gate up north, they have like contacts up there who have been trucking people. They get attacked by goblins.
And did someone survived
Enough
to send word?
Because he never met Red Riding Hood. He was gone before she got there, right? Yeah. So he got word to go investigate the gateway. So he's gone to like go check out that. So he's not in New York. So Red Riding Hood is able to get there without Bigby messing it up because he was sniffed her out immediately.
Yeah.
So while Snow and Red are up at the farm and dealing with the growing rebellion there, we get to meet Colin, one of the three little pigs.
Yep.
Poor beheaded Colin.
Yep.
And Bigby is up north investigating the gateway, which our audience will be very familiar with because we opened
And just for anyone who knows Colin, we would have planted Colin through that entire first act.
Because he's sleeping in Bigby's flat. You're going
and,
back
and
to
they
the
keep
farm.
him. You're going back. Yeah. Yep.
And so Bigby's north, Snow's up north, upstate New York. Bigby's like Alaska north.
Yeah.
And Snow and Red are at
in
the farm.
upstate New York.
So Boy Blue is dealing with the return of Red Riding Hood. And we also have Cole and Bluebeard being an asshole and
Prince Charming.
Politicking.
Yeah.
Campaigning. So we could also meet
Has the campaign will have started at this point?
he will at least have been planting the seeds of like, I think by
Okay.
this time next year we should put this to a vote.
Sure. Okay.
I'm just curious. Is this just you and me talking about this? Like, I don't know if this is making sense to the people listening if they haven't
Maybe
read Fables.
it's true. It might not. We're just dropping names.
This might be so inside baseball, and you must have read the series to truly comprehend what's happening here. Because we are discussing so openly of stuff we have so much knowledge on.
Yeah.
I'm curious if those listening are like, I can't follow this. Who the fuck are all these characters? What are you talking about? Gateways up north and.
We'll do a quick. We're sussing it out.
Yeah.
And we'll come back and we'll walk through the outline of the movie.
Okay. Because once it's revealed that Red Riding Hood is not who she claims to be, and Blue, like a champ, sleeps with her before he admits he knows it's not her. And then they kick his ass, break his fingers. They want to know the extent at which Fabletown
I think I might change that. I would probably make it Blue doesn't figure out she's not who she says she is until they take him and beat the shit out of him. And that's right. The way that Bigby, the big bad wolf, found out about the North was Jack got beat up and
by the soldiers.
The men in they're black. Already in town. By the men in black, and it turns out they're made of wood. And even if this isn't how the comic played out, I think I would use that as Bigby is able to take that and deduces a clue to the North.
Yeah.
And that's why
I gotta go check this out.
Yeah.
So these men in black type who show up are agents of the adversary, and they are very, very Agent Smith. They speak funny, they talk funny, they all look alike, and they corner Jack, kick his ass. He gets away. He's like, I beat up these soldiers. One of them had a wooden leg, and that gives Bigby enough pause to go, all right, I'm gonna check this out. And he. So their goal ultimately, and they're working with Little Red Riding Hood, who is not who she claims to be. She is, in fact, Baba Yaga, the witch.
Nice.
And we have another witch, Frau Totenkinder, who we would meet immediately in that opening oneer when Blue's going. Frau Totenkinder is a fable we all know, but she's done a very good job. And history's done a very bad job of keeping that name within us. But we all know who she is because she is the candy witch.
The candy witch. The gingerbread house witch.
The gingerbread house witch of Hansel and Gretel fame. And
she lives in candy and eats children.
That's right. So another one of our powerhouse heroes here who's had a very notorious past.
Actually, yeah, that would be that would actually be, oh God, it would be like two very important lines that would basically, or it could be a scene that we have pass in that intro of a whole bunch of very clearly heroic good guys signing an accord right there in Fableland at the last castle with a whole bunch of like witches and gargoyles and bad guys we can identify. Like we could identify Totenkinder because she's like
a candy witch.
She's a candy witch, yeah.
The amnesty. They're signing the amnesty.
Yeah, the amnesty. Or we could we wrap that into whatever introduction in New York is. Yes, like today is the anniversary of the amnesty.
Yes.
Or both.
Yes, I think both. I think we see she's definitely one we need to see early because she has a great in the finale here. Has a great fight. So these agents of the adversary have shown up to suss out the strength of Fabletown.
Yeah.
The adversary is now eyeing New York, and is eyeing our world, and needs to know what these fables are capable of. And Boy Blue's not going to buckle. That kid's a soldier, and he doesn't reveal anything. And it's building up to them. The agents show up. They basically hand a letter that says, the adversary is aware of you. You have 48 hours to surrender, or we are coming back.
Yeah.
All of us. We're coming back with an army. And so preparations must now be made to defend Bullfinch Street, which is the street that Fabletown is on, right in the middle of New York. Lots of glamours and magic that the witches provide to prevent us normal people from seeing it. Very,
Yes.
very Harry Potter, Grimmauld Place kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And so there's a battle of brewing. So that's sort of moving us towards what the finale of this movie is going to be, which is the attack on Bullfinch Street.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, upstate New York, our animals are pissed off that they don't get to live good lives because they're stuck at the farm.
Yep.
And Snow, there's an assassination attempt. And,
yeah.
and I think that might be a red herring type plot to assume that the brewing of the rebellion at the farm is linked to the adversary coming here.
That's not bad.
But then it's ultimately revealed, like, no, this is an uprising of animals
of our own making.
Yeah. And
in that sort of B plot, C plot nature, I think that could be alluded to at first. I think it's going to come out very quickly because I think that all of that needs to be wrapped up before
the battle.
The final battle. So Snow and a couple other and company can come back down to New York for that final battle.
Right. There's an element missing in this that's okay. Backing up to,
I think I know the thing you are going to. So go ahead.
Bigby's investigation of the original like first story here of investigating Rose Red. He's working one-on-one with Snow White a lot. She doesn't really care for him. He's so gruff and rough around the edges, and he is, but he's kind of got a crush on Snow White.
Yeah, he does.
And he basically tricked, like, I need you to dance with me. Wear your best gown. I'm gonna wear a suit. And like, why did you have me do that? Because I didn't think you'd go with me if I asked. She's like, you tricked me into going on a date with you? Jesus, if that wasn't so frustrating, it would be cute. And when Snow's at the farm, she literally comes under fire from an enemy within. Go
ahead, say it.
It's Goldilocks. Goldilocks is so never satisfied. She can't even. What do we discussed this? Like, her whole MO is it's nothing is good enough. Like, she has to keep mixing it up. She's what does she call the partisans? She's like the leader of the people. She believes in revolution.
She's a revolutionary.
Yeah.
Like, to the point that even if she were to win, she wouldn't be happy.
She'd still need to have a revolt.
Yeah.
So she like shoots Snow White.
Yeah.
Like, in the head.
Yep.
And in the comics itself, it takes a year for Snow to recover.
Yeah.
So I don't quite know how to work our way around that. But also in the midst of this, Bigby and Snow are tricked away to not be around.
Oh, for the battle?
Well, because remember, Bigby and Snow end up in the woods far, far away.
Yeah. Crap, I forget how they were tricked.
So that's in the storybook Love story. And it's...
they have to go investigate a thing. Did they... Because ultimately, it's Goldilocks is hiding out there because she gets away from her failed rebellion, and goes running off.
I'm so blanking right now on how they got up there, because
so here's how I would shortcut that. We plant the seeds. First of all, we've already shown they're immortal. We're going to show how immortal they are. We got to talk about how Red Rose isn't as powerful as her sister Snow White, because her fable isn't as well known
Yeah.
as Snow White's, and we truncate the year of recovery and say that's how powerful Snow White is, that she's able to recover across basically a drive down from upstate New York.
Yeah.
That makes her much more strong than she is in the comics. I think another thing we allude to is the idea that this uses up some of your power.
Sure.
So her recovering so fast used a good portion of her power.
Mm-hmm. And so she's weakened by this.
Yeah. And then almost immediately, Bigby and Snow have to go. They have to leave immediately because they immediately get word that Goldilocks has fled, and they can't let her go. I realized it was a mystery. They didn't know who had lured them to the mountains
in the first place
initially.
Yeah. There's an element here that
I think having Goldilocks basically having them pursue her, and for whatever reason Snow would need to go. Whether it was she overrides him and is like, I want my revenge, or I don't know.
Bluebeard's the one who poisoned because he was sleeping with Goldilocks.
Oh, that's right.
And he's the one who tricked Snow and Bigby up north and away.
Even better.
Yeah, he gasses them, and then they
just wake up in the woods.
They wake up in the woods, and it's been a week, and they've been sleeping in the same. Like she's been sleeping in a tent. Bigby's been a wolf sleeping outside. He promises.
Okay. I know most of the story of Bluebeard here because his story isn't much longer. Do we want to? I think we should plant the seeds pretty early. He's a bad guy.
Yes.
So actually, even better. Snow comes back down. Bigby, Bluebeard's like, I need a meeting with the mayor's assistant and the sheriff, which is Snow White and Bigby Wolf.
Yeah.
And they go to his apartment, and he gasses them right there. Like, I'm glad to see you're doing better, Miss White. What's this about, Bluebeard? I have a lead on your
assassin.
On your assassin.
Yeah.
And like, that's not important right now. We have a war that's coming. Oh, I think it's going to be very important to you. They get gassed, and then we actually see from the perspective of the doorman or even a couple of people. We see them see Snow and Bigby leave together.
Yeah.
And they're acting a little funny. So does that make sense?
It does. I'm just thinking timeline wise. So if we're looking at a film, getting this Bigby and Snow romance, and also getting the gateway situation here. I'm not saying it's impossible, but it's just positioning the story in such a fashion where we need Bigby and Snow to have their time together. Sure.
So, Bigby, that time together was during that investigation, during the first half hour.
Right. But no, we need a second half of them together.
No, I know. That's going to happen.
Here's my pitch.
Yep.
The farm. Bigby can't go to the farm. He's literally he cannot go there. It's one of the
laws. It's a rule
laws
that the big bad wolf can't go to where all of the creatures that he harried and tortured and terrorized in the Fablelands.
Taking out the Bluebeard situation for a second, we have the opening. The wooden soldiers, Men in Black, the adversaries' soldiers show up. Jack is harassed. There's a gateway that needs to be investigated. So Bigby is like, I'm gonna go investigate this gateway.
Yep.
Meanwhile, we have Rose and Snow up at the farm.
Yep.
Before Bigby can leave for the gateway, Bluebeard gasses him and sends him to Snow. I'm trying to see if there's a way to get Bigby and Snow together to get them to unravel that part of the plot, so that when he becomes conscious again, he's like, you need to return to Fabletown. I have to go north. Because maybe they don't even think Bluebeard did it. Maybe it's more just like the adversary's at work here, and Bigby needs to check that gateway so that he can go north and Snow and all the Animal Farm weaponry can get back to Bullfinch Street before the attack.
Maybe. Ultimately, so in the comic, they're sent out to the woods while they are under the spell of this magical love gas potion that Bluebeard puts them under. They sleep together, and Bigby gets Snow pregnant.
Yes,
is what happens. While they're out there, Goldilocks is hunting them and trying to kill them. It doesn't work, and Goldilocks looks to be. It seems like she's killed.
Yeah.
Then our heroes come back to town, and war. Right. That's how the comic happens mostly.
Mostly, you are correct. Snow leads the fight because Bigby's not there because he comes in Deus Ex Machina and blows the street down, like blows the street away for their final assault. He comes into the rescue at the end because he's been removed from the equation so that this battle can be as intense as possible narratively. He was taken out of the story quite deftly in Willingham's telling to get him north, to check on the gateway, to not be on Bullfinch Street. So when the wooden soldiers show up, and there's hundreds of them, attack this street, and the Fables have their lines of defense, Prince Charming proves himself to be a very capable leader in this war. Guns are flying. The Beast is allowed to go full beast mode.
God, this really would be a better TV show.
It would be. It's a lot. What the problem here is to adapt this so that the finale of a film is the March of the Wooden Soldiers. Animal Farm, I do think, needs to get tweaked out of this, like or just shrunk down so much.
What happens if we don't have? Well, what happens if Bigby and Snow don't have their
tryst,
their
rendezvous?
I don't like calling. I don't want to call it that because
their romance.
Neither of them. They were both hypnotized. Yeah. So and all of those are sort of nicer words for it. What happens if we cut that?
If we cut it, okay. If we cut it.
Mm-hmm.
For the sake of fulfilling a seed planted early, the only thing that would be necessary to maintain the development of their relationship is when Bigby returns from the north to huff and puff the army off the street.
Mm-hmm.
Snow literally runs to him and throws herself into his arms and said, I knew you'd come. Like, she's very emotional and happy to see him. And he's even like, oh, Snow, all right. I think that could still happen. If she's a little, you tricked me into having a date, it'd be cute if it wasn't so annoying.
And cut I think it would be she likes him back.
Yes. And giving that moment in the end where she actually is endeared to him and is grateful and literally hugs him that he's here. Even letting our gruff hero blush a little bit that the woman he loves is giving him a little bit of attention he's always wanted. Removing the whole spell and send him to the woods and placing that later in a second film, that works.
Okay.
And as far as the art of adaptation goes, that would be the necessary way to do that.
Because maybe I'm wrong. I feel like the farm is important. It can be truncated. I think it can be done in 20 minutes. God, that feels so short. But I think it could be done in 20 minutes.
Mm-hmm. That feels so short for. It doesn't need to be much longer than that.
The thing is, I know you said a half hour for the Rose Red murder mystery. Mm-hmm. I actually think that actually takes less time.
Well,
because most of that is meeting characters.
True, but I'm also counting our opening in that 30 minutes.
Oh,
our Lord of the Rings battle is accounted within that first 30 minutes.
I didn't realize that. I thought it was the intro and then 30 minutes.
No. I didn't. I don't think I made that clear. Our first 30 minutes is the intro and the Rose Red murder. And murder mystery, and sending her north to the farm.
Yeah. What was I thinking? Now my only problem with cutting that is a great way to vilify Bluebeard. for Prince Charming to then do what he does.
Yeah.
And I want to do that not because I want Prince Charming to seem like a good guy, but I think it would be great to have Bluebeard killed by Prince Charming the way he is in the book. But what you do is like, yeah, Bluebeard may have deserved it, but you not the way you did it.
I still don't trust. You shouldn't trust Prince Charming.
Not at all.
So Prince Charming this is some Game of Thrones level stuff. I said Lord of the Rings. It's more Game of Thrones because this gets like cutthroat, bloody, sexy, awful, like great stuff. Prince Charming is endlessly charming, but once he's charmed someone, they don't fall for it again. So he's been married to Snow White, Rose Red, and Cinderella. Yep. And he has burned those bridges. Yep. And he's like, when we meet him, he's at a diner, like a fancy restaurant, and he charms the waitress into paying his bill and giving him the keys to her apartment. Like he's a slime ball. But he's also a hero. Like
in Fableland, in the minds of the mundane world, yes, he is a protagonist.
But he's hard to trust.
Yeah,
because he does some skeezy stuff.
Yep.
Bluebeard just happens to be skeezier.
Yeah,
because he's literally murdering wives.
Yes, he is.
The tale of Bluebeard, the fable is.
He was murdering.
Everyone
wives.
got amnesty.
Yep.
There's a great sequence where Bluebeard is showing off his fencing skills, and Prince Charming shows up, and they have a whole fencing match, and Charming loses. Bluebeard is all cocky and like, I should be running this town. I have all my wealth.
I feel like that should be like after when we get to that should be rolled into the investigation, not part of the investigation. Like it opens basically with Amnesty Day.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
And the ball for that, and like Snow's like, how am I supposed to run this town while also my sister's missing, and so we get that drama. Yeah. This investigation is happening. She's having to set up this ball because it's a terrible tragedy what's happened to your sister, but Miss White,
this is the most important day of the year.
Yeah,
we have to celebrate this.
And so then we get to see the politicking of the nobles.
So we see Bluebeard and Charming, for sure,
and they do have their fight, their fence bout
match. Bout. Yeah.
There's a word for it. I can't think.
Ultimately, we come back to that when Prince Charming blows Bluebeard's cover and is like, I know everything you've been doing. I know you're the villain in this. I know you've been doing these villainous things, and I'm here to kill you. Yeah. And he pulls out his sword, and Bluebeard's like, fine, you busted me, but I bested you once before.
I'll do it again.
I'm sorry. You seem to misunderstand. I'm the best sword fighter there is. You're not going to beat me. And Prince Charming, without breaking a sweat, fences this dude again, and Bluebeard's like, holy shit, and like slowly going up against the ropes, and Charming's just like, tell him like it is. He's like, you're the bad guy. You are the problem. You've done villainous things. I'm a dick, but I'm not a villain. Yeah. And like, he runs him through, and Bluebeard's like, I'll give you anything. I'll give you my money. Runs him through again. He's like, don't do this. Like, it's done, buddy. And he kills him. Yeah. And Bluebeard deserves it. Yeah. He's a bad guy. Do you rope that into during the battle?
Oh, that's not... the reason I didn't want to do that is because I think Prince Charming needs... I think Prince Charming... Well, I haven't gotten far enough into the book, apparently. I think Prince Charming is a bad guy. I think he's a bad guy. And if you have him kill Bluebeard during that final battle, I think it lionizes him too much. I think it needs to happen before then.
Like, this battle's about to start, Bluebeard. I need to finish this before it gets started. Finish what?
Something like that. Yeah.
I'm afraid I understand all the... You've been doing some underhanded cloak and dagger stuff here. And now tell your butler he works for me.
Stuff like that. Yeah.
And then that job is done. Well, I can't remember his manservant,
his goblin butler, or ogre butler, or whatever.
We'll dispose of this body later. We need to get to the battle. It's about to start.
Yeah.
Oof. That's cold-blooded, but I love
Mhm.
it. And then getting to the street for Charming to lead
And
the war.
because of how we built how they work as immortals and what we've explained on how they recover, um, there'd probably Charming would probably drop a line, something like, "No one remembers him well enough for him to recover
Yes.
before this is over," or something like
Cold-blooded.
that. Yeah.
Getting to that battle and the adversary's soldiers showing up. They're all wooden soldiers,
Hmm.
which a little subplot here. Pinocchio is a character in Fabletown, and the revelation of wooden soldiers animated to be alive makes Pinocchio believe his father Geppetto is still alive and the adversary's using him
Yeah.
to make his soldiers.
Because ultimately what we learn, what we also end up seeing is that Pinocchio, a boy, basically has the same face as these
Soldiers.
grown men in black.
Yeah. And he even, during the battle, one of the turning points in the battle where the heroes start to lose is when Pinocchio runs out to try to stop his brothers. Stop my brother! Like they see Pinocchio. The three adversaries, soldiers who show up, wooden soldiers, see Pinocchio.
Yeah.
Like you are the original.
Yeah, early on, they're sort of in awe,
Yeah.
which leads Pinocchio during the battle to think that maybe he can command them.
And he goes out and he's killed.
Yep.
He's blown away, and his body turns back to wood. Much to the sadness of Boy Blue, who is his best friend and roommates. Yep. But in the midst of the battle, that's a very like low point moment for our heroes to be like, "Oh my God, they just killed Pinocchio!"
Yeah.
Jesus. In the end, the heroes win.
Yes.
Now, actually, before that, in the end, they win. Bah, that's great. There's still this gap. We have the Amnesty Day, the celebration day of Fabletown. Rose is sent north for her punishment, and Jack is in trouble. We have a lull here before we get to the soldiers showing up and Red Riding Hood showing up. I had suggested that when Rose goes north and we introduce the soldiers, and not long after, Bigby is sent north. So then Red shows up.
Right, because Bigby goes north because the soldiers beat the crap out of Jack.
Yeah. Is that now enough to... Okay, so the Bigby goes north, Red shows up. There's some questions of like, oh, the adversary's coming, we're worried. Oh, okay. And then the soldiers show up to say, we're attacking your Bullfinch Street. I feel like we're missing a large middle of a movie here to go right from, and that's where Animal Farm would fit in. Do you see the...
No, I'm
okay.
Sorry.
We have our opening attack.
Yep.
The last gateway, the last castle.
Then we're on Earth.
Cut to France and modern day. We see the investigation leading up
of Rose
to
Red.
Investigation Rose Red, and leading up to Celebration Day, and the revelation that her and Jack faked the death to not have to marry Bluebeard, and everything. Snow White's annoyed because Bigby tricked her into going on a date, and the announcement of Prince Charming thinking he's going to run for mayor. And then Rose is sent north for her punishment. Jack is given community service. He is beaten up by some wooden soldiers. That tips off that a gateway might be open. Bigby leaves.
Yeah. ...
The battle. So what happens? Bigby goes north.
Sure. What happens during that?
Yeah.
The rebellion at the farm.
Okay, so we are maintaining that.
Yeah.
Okay, I didn't, because you suggested you could shrink it down to a 20-minute rebellion.
I still think it would be happening simultaneous. This whole movie is going to have like 2, maybe 3 plots. Probably 2 plots running parallel almost this whole time.
Snow goes up north to the farm. We find out the rebellion there. The audience can assume this has something to do with the adversary, only to discover it's just these animals are pissed off, and it's not the adversary. But we are skipping the Goldilocks assassination attempt.
Out in the Rockies.
Yeah.
Goldilocks definitely shoots Snow.
Snow. Okay.
We get the farm rebellion.
Mm-hmm.
At the same time, Jack gets beat up.
Got it.
Bigby leaves town.
Yes.
And Bigby's gone, so Boy Blue begins. Actually, he probably doesn't begin his unofficial investigation. Once Bigby's gone, actually, we make it. That's when the soldiers they show up and they give the letter. They don't just give the letter; they deliver Red Riding Hood unconscious. She is with the letter.
Yeah. Okay.
Right. Almost she is the message, which I'm thinking would be framed in such a way that everyone in Fabletown is going to think, "Oh my God, this young woman." Basically, or do you think that undermines the notion of Red Riding Hood's alibi? Her alibi was that she broke free and ran, and these guys were chasing her, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you think it undermines it too much if the idea is she was their prisoner and they're giving her to them, to Fabletown?
That essentially is what she says. Like she was a servant and slave to the adversary's people until she finally escaped, got through another gateway, and now she's, oh my God, I've been through hell. I'm so scared and sad, and I'm upset because I thought, Blue, you were dead. And having her thrown on the front steps of Fabletown with a message, even if you want the three soldiers there, I was like, we wanted our message to be clear.
Yeah, sure. That's great. And that gets that done. Now we don't have to have a letter and her showing up.
Right.
And so then that happens. After that happens, Boy Blue talks to her. They have their
romance.
Not full romance.
Romantic encounter.
They reacquaint. Boy Blue, who is just not a page, but an assistant. He's assistant to the mayor. He is not an investigator. Decides to do his own investigation, and goes off, cutting. And now we're cutting between him trying to follow the trail of what Red Riding Hood told him about. Oh, we were in this warehouse, and I think there was this and that. So he's following that trail. Meanwhile, upstate New York, Rose and Snow are dealing with this rebellion. Meanwhile, up in Alaska, Bigby is dealing with this last gateway.
Fighting some goblins.
Yeah.
So when the revelation of Red Riding Hood comes to fruition, Blue's able to get back and be like, they're coming. The battle is about to begin. Prepare.
Mostly. He needs to be betrayed, I think.
Oh, yeah. She's still going to beat the shit out of him.
Yeah. So basically, that investigation begins, and it culminates with him being like, what else can you tell me? And she says, let me take you. Let me show you. And so they go, and that's when Red Riding Hood and her soldiers, and it turns out there's way more of them.
Yeah.
Beat him up, tie him to a chair, and interrogate him and stuff. Ultimately, he breaks free and gets back to Fabletown.
Yeah. There's more than we ever thought. There's 100 of them, maybe even more than that. They will be here in 12 hours. The war is coming.
Now, is it too coincidental if he gets there basically just as
Snow and Rose?
Snow and Rose are they've finished their stuff and they're making their way back. They get back to town.
How about this? Just to let's try this. Getting word to the farm as that little rebellion is quashed, and we find out this has nothing to do with the adversary. This was an internal affair. Finally getting in contact with Snow. We've been trying to get a hold of you. This happened down in Fabletown. Bigby's gone. There's adversary people. She's like, what? We need to go now. So then whisking them back down. Witching Cloak?
Back down to New York?
Yeah.
No, I think because they would have said all that to Rose because Snow is recovering.
Sure.
She can't.
Oh, so yeah, Rose is hearing all this, and then from the bed we hear Snow saying, "We need to leave." Like, no, you need to stay in bed.
Like that. You shouldn't even be conscious yet.
I'm fine. We need to go now. Like, can barely stand.
Yeah, something like that. So then they're going to drive, and that's the time it's going to take her to recover, maybe even a little longer. Right. Okay. So if Boy Blue has gotten free since then, and then cutting to Bigby Wolf figuring out what's going on with the portal. I think actually, for the sake of the movie, I know they don't do it in the book. I think Bigby needs to go through the portal,
yes,
and have a fight with some goblins
in the Fable lands.
Yeah, on the other side of that portal,
and blow that portal up.
Yeah.
I just want to make sure it's closed on both sides.
Yeah. Oh crap! Oh, a detail. So while this is all happening, all three of these plots are happening. King Cole is relied upon now, and people are coming to him with problems, just normal problems. And now Boy Blue has run off. Now my assistant's assistant has left, and what that's going to do is that's going to help foment dissatisfaction with the mayor,
with Cole, and allowing Prince Charming to swoop in, even allowing Bluebeard to kind of attempt to swoop in as well, laying that track down to culminate there. Getting Snow and Rose back. Maybe they brought a truckload of stuff that they can use. Weapons.
That was the other thing, because Boy Blue gets back before they do to send them the message.
Yeah.
They that's why they don't use the witching cloak. They have to bring a whole
truckload.
Actually, a convoy, right?
Yeah.
They load up everyone except for the people they trust to keep the prisoners now in line.
You guys wanted to go to New York? We're going to New York. Lock and load.
Yeah.
Then you're coming right back here.
We were the ones who wanted to go.
No, you're staying here. You guys are coming. Yeah. So then we have a little army of convoy coming down to Fabletown. They show up for, setting up the battle.
Yeah, but and it's like like all of this. The movie would have to move much faster. This is 11th hour stuff, right? Like they probably don't even get the trucks fully unloaded, or the streets blocked off the way they do in the comic or anything. Yeah, the soldiers show up basically before they're ready for them,
and the battle begins. And now we are closing this movie with a Battle of Helm's Deep in modern day.
Yep. And Gandalf does show up.
Yeah, because
it's not Gandalf.
Because
as soon
they set the soldiers on fire, but it doesn't matter because they're not going to burn like normal. Like that was a mistake to set the wooden soldiers on fire, because now they're on fire and attacking, and they're against the ropes, and all of a sudden the freaking wind starts blowing.
Yeah,
and Bigby shows up, and he doesn't end the fight, but he gives them enough of an advantage that now they can end the fight.
Yeah, like Gandalf did.
Yeah. And then they win the day. However, they now know that the adversary is still out there, that they are at risk, and that it's time to stop thinking about defense and start considering offense. Prince Charming saying, "I'm running on this campaign of promises for the farm." To get glamours that'll turn you all human, and you can live here. And
okay, yeah, I like this. So Bluebeard it dies.
Yes.
So we see the fight between Charming and Bluebeard, and the first thing that Charming tells his new assistant, the goblin butler, is take his body and make it look like the soldiers did it.
Yeah.
Make it look like the wooden soldiers killed him. So that'll vilify him right up.
Yes.
So then our denouement.
Hobbs is the goblin.
Yeah.
Yep.
Our denouement is we get to see a funeral. We get to see the well in Fabletown. I still don't know exactly how or why, but they drop dead bodies down in the well so that they don't reincarnate.
Yeah, it's the witching well, and it's a bottomless well. It's to avoid a void of nothing, and they take bodies and they chuck them down there. So anyone who died within the battle, they send their bodies down there as a final farewell. So they toss Bluebeard down there. They do not. They seemingly send Baba Yaga down there, but Bigby is smart enough to keep that witch in check, and have her chained in the basement.
Yep.
So they can.
By the way,
question her.
during the big fight, there's a huge magic fight on the roof. So lightning and storms are up there.
Yeah, up on the roof
with a big witch fight between Totenkinder and Baba Yaga.
Yeah, just a full there's a great moment in the comic where they see there's like lightning and thunder happening at the top of the building while the battle's happening on the street, and King Cole goes up there, like opens the door to his penthouse where the fight is happening, and all we see is the look in his eyes and like the fight of demon magic in his eyes, and he shuts the door and is like, nobody go out there.
As a movie, I feel we would need.
Oh, we're gonna see it, man. We're gonna see those two freaking launching magic at each other, like
And they will have dropped their glamours, so they look like abhorrent monsters,
as they should.
Yeah.
But the last little bit here in our conclusion, we've won the day, but the war is coming.
Oh, there's several bits, right?
Yeah.
So we have the
Prince
funerals,
Charming, the funerals,
the plans for the future between Charming saying he's going to run for mayor, King Cole being worried about that.
Yeah.
Snow being mostly recovered enough to go back to her duties.
Yeah.
The last, I feel like the last one to mention is Boy Blue.
Yes, exactly. You read my mind. The last thing that happens here is Blue, who has gone through hell. We saw him at the beginning of the movie, all the way at the end here. He says goodbye to Buffkin, the flying monkey, another assistant in the offices here. He takes the witching cloak, the Vorpal blade, Snickerty Snack, to kill the Jabberwocky from through the Looking Glass. He takes the witching cloak and the sword, and
I thought he takes a third item. As well.
He took Pinocchio.
Oh, okay.
He took the Pinocchio's remains, and he goes back to the Fablelands because he knows.
Yeah, because by this time, he and we, the audience, know that Red Riding Hood is not Red Riding Hood. Red Riding Hood is Baba Yaga,
and he believes that Red Riding Hood could still be alive in the Fablelands, so he returns to the Fablelands, and that's our little. There's plenty of sequel bait here, but I feel like with a battle like that, opening with this and closing with those battles, if this is the only movie we get, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
There's a lot that happens in here, but looking at something like Pirates of the Caribbean, juggling multiple plots.
This is a pretty egotistical comparison, but Infinity War.
Ooh, now Jim, you make the argument all the time. That is one of the top tier, top best of.
It's my favorite Marvel movie.
It's the best MCU, and somehow look how many 56 characters in that movie that they're juggling. So. What that movie has the advantage of is 19 movies before it for us to know all these characters.
Yeah, that is true.
So it would be a bit difficult to pull that off without really hammering in these characters. But the nice thing is about these characters is they are archetypes. We do know these characters. We are familiar with them. In fact, there's one little thing that if we want to do a post-credit stinger here, it's not every Monday is completely oblivious to the type of things that happen here.
Oh, yeah.
To have the little tag on this be a reporter, who
that
notices
figures it out. Yeah.
There was a big battle in the middle of the city no one's talking about. Why is no one talking about this? What are you talking about? Yeah, just a little
literally a two block diameter area of town had an enormous gun battle,
and no one's talking about it
during the lightning storm.
You're watching a movie or something.
That was during the lightning storm that was focused on that neighborhood.
Just a fun little thing at the end there to not exactly sequel bait, but just to acknowledge. Other fun little things to put in, like I would do not a single stinger, but the types of credits where like little windows pop up. You see little things. That's how I do that. Guardians 2 style, where you see a bunch. Yeah.
So no, that was a whole dance sequence. So not quite like that.
Okay.
More like this is probably a bad example. Was it Smokey and the Bandit?
Sure.
Usually where they put outtake kind of things.
Guardians 2 had multiple stingers.
Did they?
Yeah, where it showed like Craiglin trying to use the.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. But another one I'd want to allude to. because it was basically after he got beat up that Jack leaves town, right?
Yeah, Jack in the comics gets his own spin-off where he's like, I'm out of here.
I think it would be fun to have a trailer for one of his movies.
So Jack's big scheme is to make himself the most popular and famous Fable of all time. You know, not only do we see a trailer for the Jack movie, but that Jack movie, if we could pull it off, would star Brad Pitt. Because Jack is such a schmuck that he would believe that Brad Pitt should be him. Although Brad Pitt's in his 50s now, so maybe that's not the right way to go. But for the sake of this gag, yeah.
Okay, right, cool. Because the comic was written 20 years ago, and that's who played him in the comic then.
David, I am so sorry that we went this long without a commercial break. And I don't know if I should.
I was waiting for that. I'm like, when are we going to throw to commercial?
I don't want to stop. I didn't want to stop because we had such good momentum going here. Did I sneak a commercial break in the midst of this without anyone noticing?
I don't know.
Did suddenly you hear a commercial at some point?
Did we do are we at full episode length?
We're nearing full episode length.
Okay.
I mean, I'll throw a commercial right here and we'll just come back real quick.
That's what I figured. We'll do the commercial and then a very late commercial, and then we'll do the kind of the outline, the summary through it.
Sure.
Again.
Sure. Okay.
So you would have had to listen to us and not know what the hell we're talking about for an hour and a half, and then we'll finally explain it to you.
This was fun for me. You were right. This was a full episode. You were right. I did want to talk about this. Okay, we're going to take a very late break right here with some messages from 6'5", and we'll be right back. Oh, and we're back. Okay. Yeah, I didn't want to stop. It's just the momentum we had. I was looking at the clock. I'm like, there's nowhere I want to just do a break here because we just kept going here. I do wonder if this was so much insider information. I had said it like an hour ago.
I did the same thing with Deadlands.
Yeah. Okay. Well, if anything, I hope people are encouraged by this to check out Fables because it's so good. But
okay, so
we're back.
Let's do a summary, a quick recap.
Mm-hmm.
Start us off.
Well, we open with the Battle of Helm's Deep, a battle.
That's what it looks like. It's called the Battle of the Last Castle.
Yes, the Last Castle,
where we meet a number of Fable characters,
including a whole bunch that are about to die.
Yeah,
and it's this final battle to get away from the adversary's armies and Snow, and we don't meet Bigby here. We don't meet Bigby till later. But
the other characters we meet, the important characters we meet Boy Blue, who is squire to a knight character I don't remember the name of, who will heroically die in this battle.
Yeah, we get the witching cloak right in here. We meet Red Riding Hood, who's just escaped the adversary's armies. Prince Charming, Bluebeard, Snow White, Rose Red, King Cole, and then a whole bunch like Beauty and the Beast and the Frog Prince and Pinocchio. Like we meet a bunch of smaller tertiary characters, but those are our main cast members we need here.
Yeah. We see. So now we're following. Actually, I think it should parallel what we're about to do in New York.
Yeah.
We follow Boy Blue being given orders by that night guy. Go. This is what's happening. Go tell these people. And so Boy Blue goes down, and he encounters the different people saying things and meeting all of these characters. And we see him pass the room where the important people are signing the amnesty agreement. Bluebeard is at the lead of it. He's like, if I'm going to take your people across, I need to know that they're not going to cut my throat when we get
I'm
there.
signing this. And
why? Because that's what you would do. Not after I sign that.
Not ever
right? Yeah, that kind of thing happens.
See Frau Totenkinder as well.
And we see the witches there, and
big battle ends with Blue giving his spot up to Red Riding Hood. She doesn't take it. He witches cloaks to the boat. She's not there. Sadness. Cross the threshold of reality. Appear in France, 1600s.
Yep.
And then fade out, fade in. New York, present day. And boom, we are introduced to our modern day characters now living looking very much like they did before, but cleaned up. And we reintroduced to the characters as they are now.
Through, again, Boy Blue delivering news
Messages.
and orders to people throughout sort of this main apartment building.
And this apartment building has thresholds that lead to impossible rooms and twists and turns and magic, and all the magic of the fairy tale world is now in this veneer of the modern world. Centuries later, and we find out about we meet Bigby. He's the last character we meet in this reintroduction, and he is brought to Snow White to invest in the midst of an investigation.
We keep saying Bigby. For those who don't know, Bigby is the big bad wolf.
Yes,
given an enchantment so that
he doesn't need an enchantment. He can literally turn into
do it
a
himself.
Human. Yeah.
Who is in the form of a human,
and he is the sheriff of Fabletown. And he and Snow have a little conversation because Bigby's in the midst of many investigations, but not the most important investigation is Rose Red is missing and presumed dead. I'm sure Jack did it. He's already in the midst of the investigation, but Snow's dealing with setting up the celebration day that they do every year. Also, Prince Charming and Bluebeard are politicking the bureaucracy. The Game of Thrones is afoot. King Cole is a very lovable old soul, but clearly inept. And all this normal life of these people leading up to the celebration day and the parlor room reveal of our detective explaining that Rose Red is in fact alive.
Just real quick, as you were going, I realized as you were talking, you had stopped the Warner montage of Boy Blue going through the building right after we met Bigby. I thought we were still going. I'm like, wow, you went way further.
No. When we get to Bigby, that's where the cut happens.
That's where the intro stops, and now the movie begins.
The movie. Also, in the midst of this, we meet Colin the pig. So we see Beast and Belle having their little tiff. In fact, that's when
I
we
actually
meet.
think to that end, Colin, who is one of the three little pigs, I believe he is the littlest. The littlest. He is sort of under house arrest in Bigby's office. So we meet him at the end of that montage as well, or not montage, Warner as well. But I think it would be fun if he helps rather significantly in this investigation. I think it would be important for the audience to grow to like Colin, not just it's a talking pig, that's fun. Like Colin plays kind of an important role.
Yeah, he's a good. Hey,
and you can
pigs have better sense of smell than dogs.
Yeah, there you go.
No offense, Bigby. Yeah, all right.
And we can even go so far as to have Colin mention. Right, like you keep coming down here, Colin. I know you like the city, but you can't be here without an enchantment. You don't know what it's like up at the farm. Basically, have him allude to what's coming.
So when the Amnesty Day celebration, the anniversary of Fabletown is had, it's revealed that Rose Red is alive. It was all to get away from Bluebeard. Yay, and end of the party, but now consequences the next morning have to be divvied out, which is Jack gets community service and Rose is sent to the farm. She chooses the farm, actually. She's like, send me there. But her and Snow go together so they can have a little sister time, because once upon a time, they used to be loving sisters. But over the centuries, and it didn't help that Rose did sleep with Prince Charming, but that's more on him than her. We get Snow and Rose up to the farm.
Yep.
Meanwhile, Jack gets his ass kicked by some Agent Smith-looking types.
Yep.
And a new investigation begins for Bigby.
And he fights back and finds out one of them had a wooden leg that he takes to Bigby.
And Bigby is like, these are agents of the adversary. I need to go north. I need to investigate this. There's only one gateway this possibly could have came from. Whatever. He gets some clue that sends him away. Right after Bigby leaves, and we're getting a little bit of Rose and Snow time, where we see the farm is maybe not everything it's cracked up to be. Does Red Riding Hood just show up as the message, or do they deliver her?
They deliver her. She's beat up.
Yeah, this poor woman. We are a lump of a woman. A bloody mass is thrown on the steps of Fabletown.
The last time we saw her, she was just agog at an empty dock.
Yeah,
and we heard
The people come. The
we
goblins
heard
come.
goblins charging for like maybe even see them bust through the door.
Yeah.
And like they look like a wave of gnashing teeth about to hit her. And that's the last time we saw her.
And now here she is.
Hundreds of years later.
The doorman, Cole finds her first. He's like, "Oh my God, you poor child. Also, this will be really good for me in my campaign. Look at me. This would be great for me." Where's Blue? Blue needs to know this. Blue is the last to know that Red Riding Hood has returned. Oh my God, there he is. There she is. Oh, our lovers reunited. Meanwhile, back on the farm, shit goes sideways fast.
Oh yeah, real fast.
And Snow comes under attack. Just in the midst of this, our audience should assume these are related attacks by the adversary.
Yeah.
That should be the first thought. It's like, oh my God, the attack is happening on two fronts.
So not only should it happen there, and now Big B's gone, what do you think about... so King Cole brings this to the people and says, look, Red Riding Hood has showed up, and she was with... The adversary had her for so long, and now she's back. And like it goes sideways for him really fast. Because the news is not taken the way he was hoping, which is, look, a young
Fable.
Yeah. Instead, it's, what do you mean? What do you mean the adversary's soldiers delivered her here? What do you mean that they're going to attack? What do you mean, Cole? And so Bluebeard takes that opening to say, oh, so you've failed to protect us. You've led them to our doorstep.
Yes.
No, that's not what's happened.
It is very much what has happened.
Yeah. And then, so then the people start turning and like, yeah, Bluebeard, yeah. And that's when Charming jumps in and goes in because there's blood in the water. And he's like, yes, Cole has messed up. Yes, Charming, he has. So that's where...
Cole just slinking into the shadows as Bluebeard and Charming start like literally campaigning right in front of him.
Yeah.
Oh, that poor guy. He's a good man. And then it's the romance of Blue and Red Riding Hood, the preparations for war. Back up.
The romance, it's going to go so fast. It's going to be literally she's in bandages and he shows up and they have a warm reunion, a very warm reunion we get a bunch of like veils for. Cut to
up north.
Big
B finally reaches the gate.
Yep.
He finds the tracks and bloody messes, and he's
the two killed guardian Fables.
He's like, and he walks his way into the gateway.
Yep.
That they believed was closed.
Yep.
That has been reopened somehow. And then back on the farm, Snow gets assassinated. Bang.
Should that happen? That should probably happen before we then go back to Boy Blue.
Like they shut down, like the uprising is happening and they shut it down. Like Rose is able to
like they're on the literal farm property, but they got to go out to the woods. They find out about John. What's the guy?
Wayland Smith.
Who has been shackled and forced to modify weaponry for the animals.
In the Fables, in fairy tale, Wayland is the greatest blacksmith of all time.
Yeah,
that's his fable, and he's been modifying weapons for animals to use.
Yep. And I think sort of in the discovery of that, I think is that when she gets shot?
They shut it down, and then bang, they're in the town square after they've stopped everyone, and she takes it.
Okay.
And maybe we don't see who did it this time in this, because like Goldilocks, we could save Goldilocks in that whole situation for another.
Sure.
Yeah, it's just a bullet is fired from somewhere.
Okay.
It's pandemonium. Snow is down.
I think then it's a matter of casting someone who, in New Hollywood, we can cast people that come back for other movies. I think we do show Goldilocks and that she gets away. Or do you think that's too much of a thread?
I think it's too much of a hanging thread.
Okay.
But it's something we can come back to. Like Jake Gyllenhaal showing up in Spider-Man Far From Home. She was there the whole time. But for now, just in the chaos of the gun going off, who shot, very Jack Ruby kind of situation here.
Okay.
Yeah. And then shutting that down, going back to Boy Blue as he gets tricked by Red Riding Hood. Tell us what your defenses are. what are the capabilities of Fabletown?
Oh, okay. So yeah, you're jumping further ahead there, but we would see his investigation,
Mm-hmm.
And ultimately leading to his capture and interrogation.
Yeah, and then then we go to the Fable Lands where we see Bigby kick some ass in a good action sequence.
Yes.
And and blowing up the gateway, or like I'm going to shut this, like preparing to blow up the gateway.
Okay. Does he complete that before Blue and Snow get back to town?
No, I think we see him fight, and then he goes to the gateway and he starts setting it up to blow it up, and then we cut back to Blue escaping.
Blue escapes, calls Snow,
calls Rose.
Calls the farm.
Yeah.
Rose tells him what's happened to Snow. He tells Rose what's going on there.
Snow wakes up and says, "We have to get back." No, you need to lay down. I'm fine. How?
Yeah.
Load up the trucks. We gotta. If the adversary is gonna attack us, we take every
we gotta be there.
capable body.
Yep.
Start the caravan down. We cut to the warehouse of the soldiers preparing, because Blue is like, there's more than 100, there's more than we thought, and then we get a montage of them like building all their wooden soldiers, putting the heads on, putting the arms. Arm yourself with a gun. If you don't have enough, if your gun drops, grab the one with the guy next to you, and then the calm before.
When things go rewinding just a little, things go wrong. No, I shouldn't do that. Finish the outline, and then there's two details I need to return to.
The fearful preparations and the calm before the battle. Mm-hmm. We see Charming confront Bluebeard.
Okay.
And
I'm starting to think your very first idea that it happens during the battle might be the right one, or like right as the battle starts.
Yeah.
Okay. Basically, right after Bluebeard has finished all of his appearances to look like he's helping, and he goes and he's like, "Okay, Hobbs, let's go in the panic room or something like that." And then Charming confronts him.
Mm-hmm. It's like, you have been very bad, and now you will die.
I don't know what you're talking about. I funded half of this town. I provided 90% of the provisions people are using to fight right now.
You have blackmailed, you have killed, you have done very bad things, and I'm afraid that
because it takes one to know one. Something like that.
And in New Fabletown, we both can't be here. There can only be one of us. Yeah. with the suggestion that Prince Charming isn't as heroic as he is.
And then Bluebeard, I've beaten you once, I'll beat you again.
It's funny that you think that's true. And then they fight. Snow shows up just in time with the animals, just as the soldiers start marching down the streets. The battle begins. We see.
Oh no! I don't even think it would be that formal. Right? Like I think Snow gets there with the animals. They start all unloading. Like, oh, chaos! Bits of this, bits of that. Sniper shot takes out someone.
Yeah, and then the fight begins.
Yeah.
Up on the rooftops, Totenkinder confronts Baba Yaga on her flying bed. Witches fight up there. Battle in the streets. Charming's leading the charge. They're winning. They're gaining ground. They're losing ground. Pinocchio goes out there to try to stop his brethren. He gets killed. Jack's out there. Bang, bang. 6 shooters. And we're just seeing all of our Beast and Grimble and Hobbs go full monster mode. And we're just going full fantasy here. And Snow is as much strategizing with everyone as Charming's leading the attack.
Yeah.
Snow's leading the strategy from the building.
Yep.
And they're gaining some ground. They're losing some ground. They think their final attack of setting these things on fire is going to work. That doesn't work. They start losing ground, and then here comes the wind, and Bigby shows up, and now the tide is turned for our heroes, and it's let's finish this off.
Yeah.
And they kick some ass. And they collect all the remaining wooden soldiers, and we move into Snow runs and hugs Bigby. It's a sweet moment. And then the dust settles, and our heroes have won with some major losses. And now we move into our epilogue, which has funerals. Bluebeard was killed during the battle.
Yep.
They're gonna throw Baba Yaga down the well, but
and the other casualties.
Baba Yaga's in the dungeon with Totenkinder under Big B's orders to be
I
interrogated.
I feel like that would be one of the stingers.
Oh yeah. Okay. Good.
So as far as the movie's concerned, yes, Baba Yaga's body has been
dumped in the witching
disposed
well.
of. Yeah.
Cole is very embarrassed. There's no way he's going to stay mayor. Charming is the hero of the day. Snow and Bigby have a sweet moment. And then the final revelation of the war is coming. We need to be prepared. Well, we have everything. We have this, and this. And then we find Buffkin crying in the corner like, what's wrong? I tried to stop him. And Boy Blue, the last moment we get is Boy Blue entering the Fablelands, looking out at the sun, the beautiful fantasy sunset, sunrise, or whatever of the Fablelands, and that's the end of our movie.
Yeah, I tried to stop him. Cut to like who? Boy Blue. He left. He took
the witching cloak.
The things that were there. He doesn't even have to say them, because what's going to happen is like, oh, hope Godspeed or whatever. Cut to. Right, like I'm imagining like a yellow forest and copse, or a copse of yellow-leaved trees in a field, and he just sort of like blinks into reality, and he looks, because he has the cloak and blade, he looks like he did in the intro.
Yes, Boy Blue, baby. The war is coming.
Yeah.
Roll credits.
Yep.
And we get a scene of the Totenkinder and Big B interrogating Baba Yaga. We get to see. We also would see like all the wooden soldiers collected in a room. I think that would be during the funeral epilogue situation. And then we see a reporter who's very curious about. In the comic, there's a great moment where the newscaster is like, "There was a storm on the blah 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 blah, but power outage, and that was it." There was a storm on the button. Does the same story 3 times, and only one reporter notices it. Like, what?
Yeah.
Did anyone just notice that?
It's what's on the teleprompter. You just read it and move on. No one cares.
And there. Okay, so you said there are 2 things you wanted to swing back to.
3 actually. So, the initial idea of following Boy Blue, in that intro, I realized that's going to be too much, and it's going to centralize him more than we want it to, because ultimately it suggests Boy Blue is our main character.
Sure.
And he is quite central to the story we're telling here, but he shouldn't be the main character, because after that intro, we spend a lot of time with other characters, and Bigby and Snow are very central to Fables. It's not Boy Blue's story.
Sure.
So I think for both in The Last Castle and in the apartment, in New York apartment building, it starts with Boy Blue being given sort of the same way, like, deliver this to so-and-so. And we follow him to the first one. And the camera, it leaves off Boy Blue and follows around. And it hands it off, and we get to see everyone
I like that
way.
Yeah, that's smart. I like that.
The second one was... That might have been the third, but I'll... Jack... I don't think Jack is in the last fight. I think after he gets assaulted, and he's... And Big B seems to skip town about it. He's like, I'm out. I'm leaving. Or the moment Boy Blue comes back and says the adversary's shown up with an army. I think Jack shows his coward side.
I'd be willing to let you fight me on that to convince me that that's the way to go. But I also think having Jack be a part of that final battle is fun, because he's such a punk, and like
he is, but that's why he wouldn't be there.
But he is there in the comic.
Was he?
Yeah,
I thought
he's wearing his Confederate hat and everything.
Oh, okay.
Like a punk.
Well, never mind. Point 2. Point 3 was something. I think it was about the farm. Yeah, it was about Colin. Because we need to see Colin. That's what it is. Is when you say when shit hits the fan at the farm. That's what it is. Colin is killed.
No. Also, we don't need them to get a hold of Rose, do they? Couldn't when Rose is getting a hold of. Sorry, Back up. When Colin is killed is when shit hits the fan
Yeah.
at the farm. Yes, 100%. Because they put his head on a pike.
Yep.
Like, Colin's head is... Because Colin was going to...
He becomes the Lord of the Flies symbol.
And it was because Colin was going to tattle.
And also, I don't know how important it becomes as the comic goes, but where I'm at, he has appeared 2 or 3 times as the head on the pike. Basically, he's Snow's spirit guide, essentially.
Which is why I think in Rose getting the phone call of what's happening on Bullfinch Street, we can go and see a vision of Snow with Colin telling her in more cryptic, mystical terms. Oh no, because he doesn't speak cryptically. He's like, Snow, wake up. You got to wake up. There's a battle coming. So like Rose gets the phone call. Colin is talking to Snow.
Well, it could even be how we justify. We could do a little bit of exposition there. Like she's like, "What's happening?" Like, "Oh, you're on death's door.
Yeah,
you're not going to die
because you're just too important."
Yeah.
To who? To everyone.
To everyone. So much so, basically, you need to use up more of your energy to wake up now.
Yeah.
You need to wake up now, Snow.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Exactly. Because then we get to see Colin again, and our beloved Colin, voiced by someone great, so everyone wants to hear more of his voice.
Josh Gad.
Snow, it's time to wake up.
He can do a voice. He can do a voice that is listenable. The man is in musicals.
He's amazing. I love Josh Gad. He is fantastic. There'd be more things better if he were in it, like Wonder Woman.
Yes. All right. I was hoping that outline of like going over everything we made was gonna kind of make clearer who everyone was. I don't think it did.
We just repeated ourselves.
We really did, just faster.
Are you guys confused? Let us know in the comments. Also, let us know if you're a fan of Fables. I'm gonna wrap up the episode here.
Yep.
Right? Thank you for throwing the demand out here, Jim. I appreciate that.
You bet.
You surprised me with it, and you were correct.
Warner Brothers likes money.
I would. Do they?
No.
The history would suggest otherwise.
We like to make no money with bad movies. That's not true. They made their animation is usually really good. They're into the Spider-Verse movies.
But no, that's Sony.
That is.
Yeah.
Warner Brothers doesn't like money at all.
Warner Brothers doesn't like
Harry Potter was really good for when it came out.
Yeah. But what do you guys think of Fables? I am curious. This is like your Deadlands, where it's like, this is a lot for people who don't know what we're talking about.
You don't understand. We need to show them every detail.
Should I have read the Wikipedia? I'll just read the issues to them. Okay. Prepare for the audiobook presentation of 150 issues of Fables. You know the best part of how Bill Willingham finishes Fables? He did 149 standard comic book issues. Okay. 22 pages. Mm-hmm. That's like episodes of a show.
Sure.
The final book, issue 150, is a movie. It's a trade paperback.
Oh, wow.
The final issue is 150 pages.
So he did 6 seasons in a movie.
He did 6 seasons in a movie. Anyway, what did you guys think of this? This is wild. But you can let us know. So hit us up if you like this. If you have questions, you can message us directly at studiodemandsit.com or on Instagram at studiodemandsit. If you're not already subscribed, you can do that as well. And if you'd like to give us a little review, you can do that in the app, and it helps us.
You can also discuss it on Reddit at r/Studio Demands It, or on our Discord. At I don't have an address for that. Just go to our website, www.studiodemandsit.com. There is a Discord link there. You can then get on our Discord page and find right now just the general tab or whatever tab, and just type in there, "Hey, what about them Fables?"
I love them Fables. You guys talked about Fables. And you can also find us on YouTube and TikTok, where we post video content. And if you want even more, we have a Patreon, and for a couple bucks a month, you can get episodes early, as well as extended double-length episodes and movie commentary tracks. We have most recently a commentary track for A Quiet Place, which it's not a movie you should be talking through. It's a very quiet movie. But Jim and I did it, by God.
We did. We did it for you.
And you can also give us some love by subscribing on Patreon for free. A massive thank you to 6'5 Media and everything they do for us. Please check out the other 6'5 shows if you're into that sort of thing.
I mean, really, this was a favor to Warner Brothers.
Yeah.
They have an IP they're sitting on that it's not doing anything.
We got this.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't even know. Like, they would be afraid too because of Once Upon. No, don't be afraid. We could do this.
And that was the other reason. I guess I didn't put that in there as demand.
Mm-hmm.
Make this in a way that is definitively distinct from Once Upon a Time, that people, they may see it and go, oh, well, Once Upon a Time.
Yeah.
But that's not what they're going to walk away with. Even a trailer wouldn't be cut in the same way that would be that.
I'll give you a trailer right now.
Do it.
Once Upon a Time wasn't enough.
That feels too much.
Yeah,
too much of a call out.
Yeah.
I don't know the last time a movie did something. Usually it's comedies that do that. It's
Austin Powers 2.
Yeah.
The teaser trailer for Austin Powers 2 was the Star Wars font that said, if you see one movie this summer, see Star Wars The Phantom Menace. But if you see 2 movies this summer, see...
Yeah.
Yeah. Goddamn. It would be a better TV show, but the demand was to do a movie, and I think that was the
and that's what makes it a studio demands it.
Yeah. Weirdly, it wasn't as difficult as that challenge wasn't like, oh, I don't want to cut anything. I was like, no, you can do this. You can manipulate this in such a way where you do lose the bigger picture things, but that's the art of adaptation. How do you maintain the integrity of a story while
honestly
retelling it?
Right, like in this initial pitch, that we moved things and smushed them in such a way that we kind of had our cake and ate it too. In execution, we'd probably find things that would need to be cut.
Yeah. But not here, not today.
Honestly, I think, yeah, if they were like, no, a 3-hour movie's too much, we need it to be less. Mm-hmm. I think the farm is the first thing to go.
Yeah. It's and then you just leave snow there.
Boo. Because it would be like 5 minutes. The second thing is the intro.
No way. We're starting big.
No, I know, but it is
too big.
What?
It's too big of an opening?
No. I think that's great. I'm just saying. I think that right when talking about cutting fat and keeping meat, I think that's a thing that like if you think about it, that's a thing that can go. All the most necessary information there. We get the amnesty stuff when they say, hey, we're celebrating Amnesty Day. We don't really get an explanation, but that's fine. For whatever reason, these bad guys and good guys now live together. We don't fully know why. It has to do with this thing called Amnesty Day. We are eventually going to learn about the adversary. We don't have to learn about him ahead of time. Boy Blue and Red Riding Hood's relationship, we're going to learn about. And we're from the way they interact, we're going to know there was this past.
Yeah.
We're like,
I would fight the studio on that one.
Oh, so would I.
Yeah.
It would be beautiful to see that way. It gives a context for them being fables from another world. But all of the things we learn there that are important, we do get through context later.
I hate it.
The thing is that doesn't get us down to an 1.5-hour movie.
No way this would have to be a 2-hour movie.
With the 2 things I just cutting the farm.
This is a tentpole movie. We're allowed to be.
How do you cut the farm?
No, Jim. This is a tentpole movie. We're allowed to be 2 hours. This is not an independent film.
I think there's 3. I'm just saying, trying to get it down to 2.
Oh, okay. Even. 2.5. 2:20. 2:19. Give me 2:19. 2:19. 2:18. 2:15. Jim, give me 2:15.
I gave you 3 hours to make the movie. Now on the editing floor, we got to cut it as much as we can. We're gonna have to cut it to the bone. And I think the first things to go is the farm and the intro, and that gives us 20 minutes, 25 minutes,
30 minutes. Give me 30, 31, 30, 32, 32. Give me 33, Jim.
But you're just saying numbers now. I don't know.
3.15. I don't think we have to sit here and
I know
split hairs over that because I think
I think it's an for listeners, and I also think it's an interesting discussion about killing darlings, right? Like, and don't get me wrong, I get why you wouldn't want to cut anything, because I don't either. I think they're amazing scenes. I fought for the farm till you're like, I think we could cut this. I think we could.
No,
cut the
farm.
I love the farm. I love the farm so much.
Jim, unless you have anything else, I believe that does it for this episode.
I think so.
Thank you for giving me an excuse to talk about one of my favorite comics.
Absolutely.
And we'll be back again soon with one of your demands, not one of our demands.
Nope.
We only do this every so often.
Yep.
We're here to answer your demands, and we will be back again to do that. And I am TC.
I am Jim.
Surprise! All right. Stay safe. Be kind to yourselves and others. Thank you, everyone.